I'd like to talk about the Poor People's Campaign. You might have heard about this campaign. It's really the idea is to make people more aware of the different dimensions of poverty in America. It's continuing a great tradition that was started, of course, in many reform movements throughout the history of the United States, which constantly tries to call attention to how we can improve as a society, how we can offer more to our people, and what we can do to come together as a country, as a nation, as a people to do that, to provide better opportunities for all. Certainly, remember recently, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Had organized a Poor People's Campaign. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to bring that to fruition because of his death. So others in our day, the Reverend William Barber and other ministers have gotten together to really encourage us to really help us to focus on these issues that are so important, these issues of how we can help one another. So, what really is the Poor People's Campaign? It is, first of all, a moral revival. So, what it seeks to do is to uh, give us a sense of purpose, a sense of focus, a sense of what we can do as a people to make our country better. And so this moral revival is taking a look at what are our possibilities? What can we do to help others? What can we do to improve the lives of other people? And so it is a call for justice. And justice, of course, is a difficult concept. To embrace justice is to try to look at different aspects of people's lives and say, is this a fair thing? Are people getting the opportunities that they really need? And so we have to take a close look at that and engage in a dialogue with one another about what are some good possibilities for us going forward. Some of the things that this the Poor People's Campaign have been calling for is looking at, well, where are there inequalities in our society and how can we address those inequalities? So some of the aspects are, well, wages. Does it seem like certain people are not getting adequate wages, not getting a living wage? In our Catholic social justice tradition, one of the principles is that workers should earn a living wage. And the idea is that there should be really a fair day's work for a fair day's wage. And this importance of really providing for our families with our wage. And so we have to take a look at that and say, well, are there certain aspects where maybe there are companies and institutions that are more concerned with a profit than really with the worker? And of course, there's always going to be that dilemma. Profits are necessary to sustain the life of the worker. Profits are not certainly a bad thing. Profits are important. But where do we strike that balance of fairness for the worker in terms of wage and the importance of profits? And how do we balance that out? That's going to be a discussion. It's going to be a dialogue in order to improve, obviously, the lives of all people. And then, of course, another issue is healthcare. Why does it seem that certain people do get healthcare in our society and other people do not? And how can we address that? How can we improve that in our country, in our area, in our state? And so, in all of these issues, we say, well, what can we do to maybe make things better for all people, a little bit more equal? Another aspect is education. Is there an adequate allocation of resources in terms of education? Recent survey by Erase Racism looked at Long Island school districts and said, well, it seems that these districts get more funds, these districts have more AP courses, these districts have a better teacher-student ratio. Why is that so? Is this equitable? Is this fair? What can we do to improve the situation, to make it better? The criminal justice situation, does it seem like there are people that are incarcerated at a higher rate than others? And is this an issue that we can take a look at and maybe do something about, improve in that area? And another area, of course, is the area of housing. Are people receiving, adequate housing? Are there opportunities for people in terms of their income to get that adequate housing in their area? And how can we address that? How can we make housing more affordable? All of these issues, of course, are important issues, are significant issues, and are complicated issues. They're issues that we have to dialogue and look at, and the Poor People's Campaign is coming together and trying to do that, trying to take a look at some of these issues that have endured for a while and say, well, what can be done to improve healthcare for all? What can be done to improve education for all? So certainly the Poor People's Campaign is trying to do this in a way to bring our attention, to bring our focus, and to help us come together as a people to improve the lives of all. One of the major ways that they are attempting to do this is to have a rally in Washington on June 18th. And those who might be interested in participating in that rally and learning more about the Poor People's Campaign can do it simply by going to the website of the Poor People's Campaign within New York State. There is a website for that to get more information and how you can participate on June 18th and how you can participate in some of these other ongoing discussions on healthcare, on education, on criminal justice reform. And this is done, I think, in a spirit of education, spirit of learning, spirit of improving our understanding of issues which, of course, are difficult or challenging. They've certainly been with us for a while, but in many ways, what we try to do is improve the lives of all of our citizens. We come together to do that as a people.